Hi, everybody. How you doing? Johan back with you with Better with Age. Charleston's over there. Today's show. It's not really an episode. We're doing kind of a special announcement. We have our Better with Age public announcement special episode for you. We're coming with the one and the only, one of the most famous cops here in Regina, Darren Finkelday. Finks, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. Sweet hair too, man.
I still have some. I'm pretty happy about that.
I was just gonna say to Charleston, that's a pretty sweet background you got going on there, Charleston. Is that your personal use handcuffs, or is that Fink's?
I feel like I'm supposed to have like some cops music playing in the background, like so.
I think we've all had our fair share of run-ins with the law, so we'll keep that out of this episode anyway. But we wanted to be able to touch base, Finks. The reason why we wanted to bring you on and talk about is both of us, Charleston and I, have had a recent experience with some scammers. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to educate our fans, our the people that watch our show, and kind of educate them on what's been happening, because we're going, if the great Charleston Hughes can get a phone call and kind of get scammed in, we got to figure this out. And we wanted to be able
not only once, but twice.
So we were going like, holy crap, they're coming after us. They're coming after everybody. There is no, limit on who they're coming after. So I thought, who better to get a hold of than Finks to be able to come and give us a little bit of an education on what we can do to be able to prevent this, because I know Charleston's got a lot of viewers on his own personal Twitter and all over, but we want to be able to educate not only ourselves, the people that watch our show, but also, our mums, our aunts, our uncles, the people out there that are probably a little bit more susceptible to this than usual. So that's what we're going to talk about. Does that work for you, Fink?
That's a great plan. Hopefully I can help out. It's not my area of expertise by any means.
I know. I'm looking at your name at the bottom of the screen, and it says Finkster, and that kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I don't know. I know what a Finkster is, but
That was me on the phone. Thank you.
It's the Finkster. So, Fink, we're going to let Charleston lead into it about how he got this phone call and how it started. And once you hear the story, I think we're going to get into it. Everything Charleston did was like the typical wrong thing you should never do to be able to do that. He gave them everything. But I'll let Charleston tell the story, and then you can kind of correct us and help us out, and to be able to educate us on how to be able to prevent this from happening to anybody else.
Sure.
The thing is I'm not as gullible as I look, right? So when dealing with these people, they're very scripted, and that's how they got me, really. So it was like a phone call, and it was like, this is Service Revenue Canada calling you in regards to a series of illegal transactions that's been happening under your social insurance number. You have about $1.5 million in money laundering, like adding up to $1.5 million in money laundering, drug trafficking. It was like a list of about 7 to 12 different violations is what they had me for. So I started panicking, like, okay, maybe somebody stole my identity. I was like, this not right. I was like, something not right. Then they said, well, there's a legal court order for a warrant for your arrest right now. So I would try to get this matter handled as soon as possible. And I was thinking, like, man, well, obviously somebody stole my identity, so it's not me. Then they were asking, yeah, so you confirm that all these transactions are not you? And I'm like, yes, I confirm that they're not me. I was like, by the way, who the hell is this again? Then they were like, this is Service Revenue Canada. We report on all 5 major bureaus. Then I started thinking, like, man, I was like, this don't sound right. I was like, something ain't right. Then they were just like, well, if you don't believe me, sir, you can hang up, and then I'll send your profile over to the Regina Police, and then there'll be a warrant out for your arrest. RCMP will come for you. Then I was thinking like, okay, just stay on the phone. I don't want to hang up. I'm just in case. Like, just keep me on the phone. So they got me panicking. They got me panicking at this point. So they started talking to me like, okay, just to verify it's you, can I get the last, 3 digits of your social insurance number? Started thinking like, okay, just the last 3. That don't mean he has the first 6. So I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, gave him the last 3. Then he was like, okay. He was like, and just to verify your account information, he was like, can you please tell me the balance of your account? So I go, why the hell do you need the balance of my account? I was like, that don't sound right.
Of
I
your
was
banking account, right? Your personal banking.
Yeah, so I was thinking like, okay, well, if I give him that, I mean, still can't do nothing, right? He just know how much money I got. So I was like, all right, well, here's the balance of my bank account. Then he was like, okay, now that I confirmed that this is who we're talking to, you're Charleston Hughes. He was like, now, who's your local RCMP? So I started panicking at this point, like, local RCMP. I was like, shouldn't you have that information? Then he was like, yes, but I don't know where you're currently located. So, and if you hang up, I'll send them to come get you. So I was thinking like, okay, something's still fishy to me. So he was like, go online, find your local RCMP, and give me the phone number for your local RCMP. So I'm like, okay, well, it got to be somewhat legit then if he's asking me for RCMP. So I give him the number. He was like, okay, I'm going to click over. Please do not hang up. If you hang up, I'm going to send your file over, and there will be a warrant out for your arrest, and we will come get you. So I was like, okay, I'll stay on the phone. He clicked over. He came back to the phone. Said, Charleston, hold on 1 second. I'm going to get Officer Marshall on the phone. When I get Officer Marshall on the phone, I'm going to forward you over to Officer Marshall. You'll talk to Officer Marshall, and he'll update you on how to proceed from here on your file. So he clicked over, click, and then he came back to the phone and was like, Officer Marshall, I have Charleston Hughes on the other line. Charleston Hughes is being investigated for money laundering, for drug trafficking, for, just a whole bunch of different charges. But I only heard one side of the conversation. So I couldn't hear Officer Marshall talking. I only heard him talking. So at that point, I was like, okay, something ain't right because I don't hear the other guy talking. I'm not on a three-way call. Three-way call, I hear everybody talking. Right now, he's talking one-sided, so I don't hear him talking to the other guy. So I hang up the phone, click, and thinking like, I'm gonna call RCMP. I called RCMP, and they were like, yeah, Charleston, you don't have a warrant out for your arrest. He was like, you're being scammed. He was like, did you give them any personal information? I was like, well, I did, but it was really nothing of importance. I don't think. I gave my bank account, how much I got in my bank account, and I gave them the last 3 of my SIN number. Then they were like, oh, okay, well, you're being scammed. Please don't give them no more information. He was like, if they call back, just don't answer or tell them, I know you're scamming me, like, F off. So so I get mad because they had me on the phone for like 20, 30 minutes over this, and I go like, okay, well, since you're going to scam me, I'm about to scam them back. So they called back. Soon as I got off the phone, as soon as I got off of RCMP, they called me back. So I went and grabbed pen and paper and started writing down you can't even see it. I started writing down a whole bunch of information. So I was like, okay. He called me back and said, my supervisor is giving you a second chance. He was like, Charleston, if this phone call hangs up again, he was like, I'm going to send your profile over. We'll have a warrant out for your arrest and we'll come find you. So I was like, okay. I was like, and by the way, who is this again? And they were like, this is Justin Scott. I was like, okay, Justin Scott, what's your badge number? Then he was like, Justin Scott, my badge number is A37284. I was like, okay, and who is this again? He was like, this is Service Canada. He was like, we report on all 5 major bureaus. I was like, okay, can you name all 5 major bureaus? then he named off like 5 just random things. And I was like, okay, that's perfect.
Grocery,
named off 5 random things. Yeah. So he was like, well, I'm going to put Officer Marshall back on the phone. When Officer Marshall calls you, he was like, make sure you answer the phone. I was like, okay, put Officer Marshall on the phone. So Officer Marshall calls me from a 306 number. Answer the phone. Officer Marshall answers. It's like, is this Charleston Hughes? I was like, yes, this is Charleston Hughes. He was like, okay, Justin Scott sent you to me because there's a warrant out for your arrest for drug abuse, drug trafficking, money laundering, and all these offenses add up to about $1.5 million. And I was like, yes, you're correct. And I was like, who is this again? He was like, this is Officer Marshall. I was like, okay, Officer Marshall, do you have a badge number? He's like, yes, my badge number is RCM 5212. I was like, okay, thank you. I was like, and because my last phone call disconnected, I was like, is there a phone number where I can reach you at just in case the call gets disconnected again? Because I don't want a warrant out for my arrest, Officer Marshall. He said, he went off on me and said, why are you asking me all these questions? I'm the one supposed to be asking you the questions. Then I said, well, I'm trying to protect my identity. And I said, by the way, when the phone call disconnected the last time, I put on a recorded line. So I just need to let you know legally that you're on a recorded line right now, just to protect my own identity and my own safety. So I was like, you're on a recorded line. And he was like, okay, that's fine. He was like, but why do you have to do that? Why do you have to go to that extent? I was like, don't you care about my safety and my protection? Then, then he was like, he just went, oh. He was like, I'm sick of this. Click, hung up the phone.
Next thing you know, Finks, Charleston was in jail for 3 days. No.
I know. I brought him his egg McMuffins.
Yeah. So Charleston, and that was it, right?
Yeah, that was it. And then I received another phone call from them, but as soon as it said, this is Service Canada, I just hung up. I was like, I don't got no time for this no more. So I just hung up. And I was thinking like, man, if they called me twice within maybe a month, maybe 2 months span, then how many other people do they actually call and run through? And then how many people do they actually fool with this and actually get information out of them? So I was thinking like, especially if it was somebody elderly who's not 100% focused, or I wouldn't even say focused, but not aware of the scenario and how everything plays out. So that's the reason why we brought you on, Finks, to kind of enlighten us on how to recognize these guys, because they were very scripted and they fooled the hell out of me from the start.
So Finks, what after hearing that amazing story, what advice do you have from Charleston right off the get-go?
Oh, that's a tough goal, because even I know Charleston can attest to this, but they even have like background noise. So whoever Charleston's talking to, they got like background noise, and they have like, sounds like a room full of people taking care of business. Yeah. I guess your number one rule is there's only 2 times when you give out your social insurance number. One being when you're going to apply for a job, and 2 when you're in the back room of Revenue Canada, and they got a telephone book over your head. Other than that, never give anybody your social insurance number, because once they get that, they can go to town on anything, because that's the one piece of information people usually don't give out. So that's the one that they're going to lean on. And once they get your social insurance number, they're going to really go to work on trying to take advantage of some of your things. One big way you can get rid of that scam, any type of scam, is the Regina Police Service has a website called reginapolice.ca. And if you go to that website, and this particular scam's already been addressed, you can go right to the webpage, reginapolice.ca, scroll down to the word scams, open up scams, and they have a whole bunch listed there. And the one that we just talked about, for example, Revenue Canada, they're going to be calling up, and they're actually even showing up, according to what I read on the website today, it's even showing up Regina Police Service now. So it's really tricking people, because they're looking at the number that is calling them, and it's showing Regina Police Service. It's not Regina Police Service, but people are obviously thinking it is initially, and maybe they're giving out some information like Charleston did prior to recognizing it being a fraud. So they always try to list down the various frauds that are taking place at any given time. If you scroll down further, there's a bunch of scams called dating and romance. And that's a big one. That's a big one right now. And you would be surprised how many friends called me and said, hey, I need your help. And then one of the big dating and romance ones, Johan, we have a good friend that fell for it twice too as well. And I'll sum it up real quick. And what happens is you're sitting at home one night and this very attractive girl all of a sudden adds you as a friend on Facebook. So you accept the friendship request. All of a sudden she messages you inbox and says, hey, I'm new to Regina. I don't know anybody. What are you doing tonight? I'm bored here. And then the conversation starts up and the girl says, well, I'm from Baltimore or I'm from Florida and I just got transferred. I don't know anyone. And so the conversation goes back and forth. Eventually the girls start sending a few pictures, maybe of boob pics or butt shots. And,
and they're really trying to kind of get you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I'm married now, Finks. That stuff doesn't happen to me, man.
I know. That, you know what? And then eventually the girl will say to the guy who she contacted, hey, you know what? I've given you boob pictures, butt pictures. I'll give you the best pictures you've ever seen, but you got to send me some naked pictures of yourself. So the guy thinking, oh, this girl's good looking. She's been fair to me, sends these naked pictures back. As soon as you do that, the tone changes as boom. Somebody gets on and goes, okay, I got these naked pictures of you. You're going to deposit $5,000 in this account right now. If not, these naked pictures are going to every one of your friends on Facebook. And I'm going to send them out to everybody on your email list. And this conversation. So then the person gets, then the person just goes, whoa. And there's actually been a couple of people that have put the 5,000 into the account. But luckily when I talked, and they said, I can't have these pictures going out. They said, I'll be ruined because some are like professions where they don't want their new pictures. And some of the things they're writing underneath them. And these people said, we got all these pictures. And in 1 hour, every friend on your Facebook account is going to have them if you don't put $5,000 in. So luckily we talked these guys out of getting their money back. And as far as I know, none of those pictures went out.
Yeah.
But I guess, Johan, the number one rule is the biggest red flag, Johan, at our age, no young girl is going to go through all of Facebook and the first person she picks out is us saying, hey, there's a guy I want to date.
Charleston more likely. Me and you, Finks, not so much.
if it quacked like a duck, it looked like a duck. Probably a duck.
I'm on the site. Right. I'm on the site right now, Finks, and so it does talk about all these scams. You know, the tax scams, the phishing and scams, the lottery scams, all kinds here. That's great information to be able to look for and to be able to go on to. So, and then, like you said, it's reginapolice.ca. You go to the bottom, it's under scams to be able to help us to be able to read about all these.
I wonder if the rental market scam on there. I got a teammate who got with a rental market scam.
There might be. They list them on there. I don't know.
Before I had a teammate, before he moved here for the season, he tried to book a house for him and his family. And he sent the deposit before he even came to Canada and viewed it. You know, they sent them a bunch of pictures and stuff for the house. And it's a nice house for a real low price, that kind of deal. All we need is first and last month rent. And then we'll hold the property for you. And when you get here, I'll give you the key code so you can go right into the house. Everything's furnished. Everything will be in set. And when he reached the location, there was no house there. It was like an empty field. And then,
not even a tent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There isn't that, but there's all kinds of scams on here that can really help out everybody that's trying to be able to figure out that. So Finks, you know, one of the top things you're suggesting then is do the opposite of what Charleston did. Everything, everything, even those little 3 numbers, does that help them out?
You know what they'll do? Then the next time they'll call Charleston, they would have said, hey, what's your first 3 numbers? You know what I mean? They would have eventually tried to stack things together.
That's why they called me again. They was trying to get the first thing.
The best way to be able to do it is just know, like you said, there's only 2 times you give away your social insurance number, once in a job interview, the other when you're at the CRA office, and be able to do that with the phone book over your head. Okay, so that's basically the cardinal rule then, no matter what. How do we because I know that I've been in that situation too, where, I'm Guatemalan. Finks, you know this. Charleston knows this. I do my taxes about once every 4 years. They say they're supposed to do it every year, but they'll send me a text and they'll say, "Hey, this is CRA," and automatically it gets. And even though I'm Canadian, I've been here 44 years. It gets me in a state of panic right there. Just that one little thing where you're like, "Shit, okay, what did I miss? I haven't done taxes in 4 years. What am I doing wrong? I got to do this. Okay, here we go. Well, I know I got to do my taxes every year. That's the first thing. But, you look at that and you're going, okay, so you get in that state of panic. And then, so the recent one I got was if your bank card starts with, we know that you have a Scotia Bank card Visa starting with 4623. Please click here and call this number to be able to rectify this issue. Right there, I'm in a position where, and this happened to me about 2 weeks ago, I was in a position of almost on panic, right? Is that when they first start to get you, is just that state of mind that they have you, like Charleston was, like, what the fuck's going on? Is that where they first get you, and that's how they get you sucked in a bit?
Yeah, they get your interest going, right? And everybody's afraid of getting in trouble. And you know what? They're just going to kind of feel off of you. They read off you because they don't have everything. But if you go onto any website you ordered from, either of you two guys, no matter what you ordered, like whether it be supplements, clothing, it's gonna show star, and then the last 4 digits of your credit card number, right? So they have that. And what they'll do is they'll throw that to you, and they'll keep working with you until you eventually, believe it's them. And then they'll say, okay, I just have to verify your credit card number. What is it? And they hope to get it all from you. And they'll keep working you as you go along here. Put it this way. If it's really CRA, they're going to have all that information. So your first red flag will be, hey, what's your social insurance number? Or where did you work last year? Or anything like that, right? And you'll be able to hopefully pick out, just from talking to them, you'll get that red flag. If you get a red flag, just walk away from it. Trust me, you're not going to get arrested for hanging up on them because you thought it was a fraud, right? They'll try to get a hold of you in a different way to verify themselves. You always know, we all know Canada Revenue is going to find it if we owe money. So it won't be through a text message.
Yeah. So what would you suggest then, for those red flags? Are there any safe things to be able to ask? Is there anything that we could sit there and kind of always have in the back of the mind, other than the number one thing, Charleston, do not give out any information whatsoever.
Don't give your social insurance number.
Yeah.
Is there any questions, anything that we can have in the back of our mind for a question to be able to do? Like, I know Charleston was probably on the right line of saying, what's your badge number? What's your ID?
That's right.
Call you.
Yeah.
What would you suggest then for kind of a safe approach to be able to, for the people that are watching, that are cautious, or mom or somebody?
You could even just say, hey, what's your name? What's your phone number? And what's your contact line? I'll get back to you after I verify you work for Revenue Canada or wherever they're calling from. So basically they'll say, oh, well, and then all you have to do, once you have their name, phone number, a quick phone call will verify if they actually work there. And I'm sure if you phone Canada Revenue Canada, they might even have a name of a real employee, but that phone number they won't have. So you could verify the phone number with Canada Revenue and say, hey, is this actually their phone number as well? Because it's easy for them to find a name of an employee that works there.
Okay.
Right? So verify it with the phone number. Go, hey, is this phone number actually one of yours? Chances are they're going to contact you through a government stamp pressed letter, right? And that's how they're going to contact us. And anything on the phone, like a text message especially, just walk away from that, right? It'd be... that's not. They
always get me. I've been got by a text message where they send me a text message and say, "You've received a bank deposit," or it's like a text message you get where you receive the bank deposit of this, and then you click this to go to the website, and then you click it, and it sends you to your bank, and then you're supposed to log in. Like I've got that multiple times.
Yeah, and then they'll get your information, right? Because they'll watch you go into your bank account and enter your PIN number.
So, moral of the story here, Finks.
I'm a prime suspect. It sounds like I'm a target. I got a big target right here. Because I've gotten by that. And actually, I forgot part of that story. Once I hung up off the phone with him and called RCMP, And then I hung up with RCMP after they told me it was a scam and everything. And I was sitting there like, man, let me try to call this dude back. I tried to call him back on the number that they called me on. The first thing that goes on the phone, I call him back. Ooh, you've reached 1-800-HOT-RIDE. For English, press 1. Ooh, you called the right number. And I was thinking like, man, oh.
Okay, so the moral of the story then, like Finks, you're saying is that, okay, 1, no information, 2, get that phone number, call back. If it's pink ride or hot ride, we know that, okay, scam is
right.
over. Yeah.
That's right. And I think Charleston's got to make sure that all of his contacts are in order too in his phone.
Hey, I'm about to change my number, big dog. I'm tired of them calling me. They keep calling me and they sending me text messages, and I feel like a target right now. I feel like they're attacking me.
I think Finks, if you should get Charleston to be that instructional video at the police academy for what not to do for this guy. Okay. Charleston did this, do not do this. Charleston did this, do not do this.
I can't take it no more.
So we've gotten to that. So that's, I think, for everybody that's watching, like we both mentioned, everybody can be contacted. And so whether that's me, everybody, our moms, our parents, our uncles, our aunts, our kids, which is a scary part, Finks, is they can probably come after our kids now without the kids.
Yeah.
Knowing better too. So,
yeah. And one thing they can do too is the police will try to address it in 2 ways. Elizabeth Popwich does a great job at Regina Police Service, and her and her group do media releases. So they'll actually put a media release on our Facebook page and in the leader post, for example, and they'll distribute it to various news and media outlets. So you can find out that way, or you can check the reginapolice.ca website. So those 2 ways you can protect yourselves. And you know what? If you ever think something's a little bit weird and you haven't heard about it yet, don't be afraid to call the police either, and just give them the heads up. And they like to collect, statistics on how many times these frauds are occurring as well. So
I think
a couple of ways to take care of it.
I think Charleston's going to have your direct line to you, and he'll be on 24/7 with you.
I'm calling you 24/7, man. I'm being harassed.
Finks, any more stories you can tell me about? Any more frauds or any more scams or anything else that we should be watching out for, or anything like that?
Any other frauds? No, the dating one's the big one.
Okay.
People coming door to door to sell you things, of course. That's always oh yeah, they'll come there and sell you like, hey, Charleston, don't feel bad. I bought a membership to Muscle and Fitness magazine. I just did it to help the kid out. Never got a magazine.
So even the cops get scammed.
Yeah. I paid them in cash too, which should have been a red flag, but paid them in cash. Never came back. Never got anything. And so, I guess you're gonna have to really look into a lot of the people that come to your house and their actual genuine businesses. They'll have photo IDs and they'll have numbers and they'll have brochures. Whereas the people that are trying to scam you on something, you can just tell they're going to be ready to get off your property. And but most of it isn't done face to face. So just be leery of anything where you're not going to be able to identify their face. A lot of it's being done overseas, obviously. So they're going to be calling you via text, phone number overseas. So don't fall for any of that stuff.
Okay, well, that's good. That's great to know. I think that we've trying to be able to educate ourselves and hopefully help out other people. The purpose of this was, again, to be able to help out the people that, to help out Charleston, and B, to be able to help out everybody else too, to be able to get educated on this, because it is happening and it's happening quite frequently. So we wanted to be able to do that. So thanks, Finks. I really appreciate it. Anything else, Charleston, you wanted to bring up with Finks or talk about?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Noah.
Noah?
Noah. Yeah, Noah. Noah, the big football star. When I first met Noah, it was on I was coaching a football camp out in Moose Jaw, and I noticed he's a quick linebacker. I've coached a lot of kids at young ages, and sometimes you can see like when one kid is playing at a way higher level than all the other kids is at their own age. And I think Noah's one of those kids where he plays at a real high level. He plays the game how it's supposed to be played at a young age. And I've only met one other kid that was his age who loves to hit people just like him. I've met I think he was a 6-year-old linebacker, same position, but it was down in Florida, Miami somewhere. And this 6-year-old linebacker was playing against like 7, 8-year-olds.
Oh,
he was
nice.
And he was making 7, 8-year-olds crumble. And I saw, yeah, and he loved every minute of it. He'll jump up and start, smacking his helmet and going nuts. And I'm like, man, this 6-year-old kid is unbelievable. And I know Noah's one of those same kids where he flies around the field, man. He makes a lot of big hits, a lot of plays. And he's one of those guys who's a straight ball hawk. So tell him I said keep up the work.
Hey, I will. Hey, and I really appreciate you. That one weekend I was down in Florida for a little work conference thing, and I missed the tryouts. And my dad went there to watch him, and he says, yeah, he made a new friend. He followed him everywhere. He says, Charleston Hughes was there. He says, Noah looked up to him and followed him everywhere Charleston went. Noah was walking by him. So I said, that was perfect. That's perfect. Hey, Johan, I was going to tell you a story one time about a little bit of a funny fraud thing.
Okay.
All right. So what happened is we went to a call for service once. This is many years ago.
Yeah.
And the house was a little bit dirty or whatever, but 2 constables go in, me and my partner. Our Sergeant L comes in after that. Great guy. Not Al Hendren. I know you know him. He's a good sergeant too, but not him. But so we go in and we sit down. And as we're sitting there, there's a bowl of almonds on the table, right? And it's about 3 a.m. Everyone's hungry, but we're not doing anything. And the sergeant reaches in and he grabs a few almonds and he starts eating them. He's kind of chuckling away, right? Like just chuckling away, like, right? So we're just sitting there. Okay, this is funny. And lady goes out to go get something, right? And she goes, you guys help yourself to anything you want. We're like, no, thanks. We're good. And Al kind of thinks, it'd be funny again to have a couple more almonds, has a few more, right? And so we're sitting there, and this happens a few more times. And she comes out and she's going to sell those almonds, chocolate covered almonds. Remember those that you used to be able to sell?
Yeah.
And these were just regular almonds in the bowl that Al was eating. And she goes, hey, can I sell you guys some of these almonds? And we're like, sure, sweet bought some. She goes, I love these things, but all I do is suck the chocolate off them and throw the almonds in the bowl.
Moral of the story, don't eat someone else's food in their place.
No, she was a legit seller. We bought the chocolate-covered almonds, not just the regular almonds.
That's funny.
That's awesome. Well, Finks, we got to get together soon and enjoy beverages and to do that. And I've been wanting to be able to stop by your place and bring Charleston over too and have some drinks. So we got to get together and have some fun and enjoy some soda pops.
We will do that. Thank you so much, guys.
Hey, thanks. All the best. Thanks for keeping Regina safe, and yeah, thanks for taking the time to educate us today.
All right, take care, guys. Good seeing you both.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.